right in front of him. She revealed her true form. And Xu Xian, seeing this, was terrified and he died on the spot. But for Bai Suzhen, that wasn't the end. Xu Xian just looked at her. You're not an evil spirit. You're my wife. Hi, Ziola here. Have you ever had a story that makes you curious about a place long before you ever got there? Or a love story that you have heard when you were very, very young and somehow you just believe that this is what love is supposed to look like? In today's story, our heroine is someone who would defy everything for love, even if it meant going against the world, even if it meant raising a storm that no one could stop. And our hero, even when faced with the most terrifying truth, didn't choose fear. He chose to love her anyway. And me? I finally got to do something I've always wanted to do since I was a kid. I came here to the place where this story is said to have taken place, to see it with my own eyes. And this is Westlake. A lake that had begun taking shape over 1,000 years ago, part nature, part human hands. But what made it so unforgettable, what it made it known to almost everyone, is a love story that has been told for generations. The legend of White Snake. It is said that long ago, there was a white snake, one who was once the disciple of a celestial being. She possessed powerful magic, and after 1,000 years of cultivation, she finally took on human form, being a graceful and elegant woman known as Bai Suzhen. But even though she was, in truth, a spirit that many would fear, her nature was very gentle. She was kind, passionate, and carried the heart of a healer. Using her knowledge of medicine, she helped the sick, cared for the poor, and quietly brought comfort to the people around her. And living around humans not as something to be feared, but as someone to be loved. So not long after, another spirit showed up, a green snake who had been cultivating for about 500 years or so. Also very serious about self-improvement. She took on a human form too and became this bright, energetic girl named Xiaoqing. The two of them get along instantly and basically decided, okay, we're sisters and besties forever. And just like that, they started traveling together. And one day, they arrived at Westlake. And right there, on the broken bridge, in the middle of a very normal crowd, a day perhaps just like this, or maybe not as crowded as this. I mean, this is pretty crowded. I can barely find a place to take a shot. Anyway, Bai Suzhen saw someone, a young scholar, gentle, a little soft-spoken, very classic bookish boy energy, His name was Xu Xian, and just like that, she noticed him. Now, Xiaoqing being Xiaoqing, saw what was going on immediately and decided to help things along a little. And by help, I mean she casually used a bit of magic and made it start to pouring rain. And that's when he sees them, Bai Suzhen and Xiaoqing completely caught in the rain with nowhere to go. So what does he do? He hands them his umbrella. And then, instead of standing close like a normal person, he steps away and just let himself get soaked. Like fully standing in the rain. And honestly, at this point, you can kind of understand why Bai Suzhen fell for him. Because there was just something about him, that kind, a little awkward, very sincere, that made her like him even more. And Xu Xian, of course, was immediately drawn to her too. with Xiaoqing quietly doing her matchmaking in the background, the two of them fell in love, got married, and opened a small medicine shop by the Wise Lake, helping people, treating the sick, and living what felt like a pretty peaceful and ordinary life. And in some version of the story, this meeting wasn't random at all. It is said that long before Bai Suzhen became human, when she was still a very small snake, someone tries to harm her. Because, well, people don't exactly love snakes, right? And at the moment, it was Xu Xian in a previous life who saved her. So maybe this love at first sight was never just a coincidence. But of course, not everyone saw this as a love story. There was a monk, Fa Hai, from Jinshan Temple, and to him, Bai Suzhen wasn't a kind healer or someone living a quiet life. She was a spirit, something dangerous, something that in his eyes should never be living among humans. So he went to Xu Xian and told him the truth, that the woman he loved wasn't human, that she was actually a white snake in disguise. And not only that, he even taught Xu Xian how to prove it. Now, Xu Xian didn't fully believe him, but at the same time, he couldn't just ignore it either. And then, almost like the timing was planned, the Dragon Boat Festival arrived. It's a traditional festival meant to ward off evil. So on that day, people drank realgar wine and burned mugwort, believing it would keep away spirits and poisonous creatures. But on that day, Xu Xian decided to follow Fa Hai's advice. He asked Bai Suzhen to drink the realgar wine. By then, she was already pregnant, so she didn't want to drink it, but also she couldn't refuse him. So she did drink it. And almost immediately, she lost control. Right in front of him, she revealed her true form. And Xu Xian, seeing this, was terrified, and he died on the spot. Yes, it happened like that fast. But for Bai Suzhen, that wasn't the end. And to save him, she didn't hesitate. Even while pregnant, she traveled thousands of miles to Kunlun Mountain searching for a legendary herb that could bring the dead back to life. It wasn't an easy journey. She fought the guardians protecting it, desperate, determined, refused to give up. And in the end, something changed. Seeing how far she was willing to go, how deeply she loved him, even the guardians were moved. And they gave her the herb. And Xu Xian was brought back to life, and at this time, he knew everything. He knew who she was, who she really was. He knew that what she had done for him, and somehow, instead of fear, what remained was love. And after everything they had been through, the two of them became even closer than before. And before the story goes any further, this was actually the part that stayed with me the most when I was a little girl. I remember my mom telling me very seriously, like she really meant it, that you should never be afraid of someone seeing you who you truly are, because only when you're fully seen can you find out if you're truly loved. I didn't completely understand it back then, but I remembered it, and I think this was the moment that she was talking about. Because in the story, after everything that happened, after the truth been revealed, Xu Xian just looked at her, and he said, "You're not an evil spirit. You're my wife." And that's why this story stayed with so many people for so long, because underneath all the magic, all the fear, all the impossible parts, it's really just asking, if someone saw all of you, are you still chosen? Are you still loved? And do you believe that you were chosen and loved? But of course, a love like this was never going to be left alone. Fa wasn't convinced, not even a little. To him, this was never a love story. It was a mistake, needed to be corrected. So he took Xu Xian away and brought him to Jinshan Temple, and this time, Bai Suzhen didn't stay quiet. She came for him all the way to Jinshan Temple, not to hide, not to explain, but to take him back. When she stood outside the temple asking for his release, Fa refused. Completely, no negotiation and no compromise. Because in his eyes, this was never about love. So Bai Suzhen made a choice. If the world wouldn't allow her love, she would fight the world for it. And what happened next is something people have been telling for centuries. She summoned the water, the calm lake turned violent, the sky darkened, waves rose higher and higher, crashing against the temple itself. They call it flooding Jinshan Temple. And for a moment, it felt like nothing could stop her, not the temple, not the monk, not even the heavens. But power always comes with a cost. And Bai Suzhen, remember she's already pregnant, was reaching her limit. That wasn't the end though. By then, Bai Suzhen was close to giving birth, and she was exhausted and no longer able to stand against Fa. With Xiao Qing protecting her, the two of them had no choice but to retreat. And as they fled, they returned to the place where everything began, the broken bridge. And there, almost as if fate brought them back together one last time, they saw him, Xu Xian. He had escaped from Jinshan Temple. And after everything they had been through, after fear, separation, and everything that's just trying to tear them apart, they met again in the same place where they saw each other. In that moment, there was nothing left to say. Only everything they had been through holding back. They held onto each other's hand and cried. Because sometimes, when you've gone through so much, words just doesn't work anymore. Not long after, Bai Suzhen gave birth to their son, but even that moment didn't last. Fa arrived, cold, unmoved, and certain. At this time, he didn't argue, he didn't try to convince anyone, he simply acted. By the west lake beneath the Leifeng Pagoda, he suppressed Bai Suzhen and sealed her away. As for how the story ends, people don't really agree. Some say that 20 years later, Xu Xian and Bai Suzhen's son, Xu Shiling, grew up to be a top scholar, and his devotion moved the heavens, and in the end, Bai Suzhen was finally released, returning to the immortal realm. Others said that it was Xiao Qing who came back for her and to fought to set her free. And then there are those who believe that as long as Leifeng Pagoda still stands, Bai Suzhen remains beneath it. But no matter which version you believe, there's one thing that actually happened. In 1924, the original Leifeng Pagoda, the one that stood there for centuries, collapsed after a fire weakened by time and neglect. And when I stood there and looking at what was left, just broken walls, scattered stones, in that moment I knew for sure she had been set free. And the Leifeng Pagoda we see today, it's not the original one. It was rebuilt in 2002 to preserve the story and everything it represents. Now you can actually go up the pagoda, look out over the entire West Lake and just take in the view and see where all the legends took place. Finally, there was actually one question I keep thinking about. Have you ever wondered, even though Bai Suzhen's story isn't real, I mean, of course, there aren't actually snake spirits, But why has it become so famous when we were boating on West Lake? One of the boatmen explained it like this.
雷峰塔这个砖头啊，是用刻有经文的金砖造的，金砖祈福的，古时候的塔都是祈福的。后来我们这个地方的百姓自古以来我们是鱼米之乡，
对，
我们老百姓都会养蚕嘛，
对，
养蚕宝宝，这个蛇会吃这个蚕宝宝的。后来我们这里的百姓说，那我们会是吧，拿一个砖啊，系上红布镇宅辟邪，所以用这个砖啊，可以把这个蛇给镇住。这个是压白娘子，是不是？
原来是这么回事儿，是因为蛇吃蚕。So maybe the story of Bai Suzhen came from many different places, different imagination, different time, different people. But somehow, after all these years, what this place tells us hasn't changed. True love isn't about perfection, right? It's about being fully seen and still being chosen. It's about accepting each other, even when the truth is uncomfortable, even when the world is against you. And sometimes it's about having the courage to stand against everything and just hold on to that one person. Standing here by the West Lake, it almost feels like the story was never really about a white snake. It's about us. So I'm curious, if someone saw all of you, would they still choose you? Would they still love you? And even more importantly, do you believe that you deserve to be chosen and loved? I'm Ziola. See you next time.